Okay. Man, I just barely made it. Good Lord. I gotta get back into the swing of things with this thing, man. Oh. I am out of the habit, folks. I'm out of the habit and I lose track of time. Realized it was getting so close to the start of the show. And, well, got into the shower too late. And now, wasn't going to have time to dry my hair or anything. So now I got this wet mop around my neck. So, apologize for that. But at least I'm here. At least I'm here. So, let me just update my Twitter to explain that I am live. And then we will get going. It'll take me just a second here. Just do this and go here. And we're going to do that and do that and go up here to X. So stupid. X. Okay. Cast is live. Come chat. Paste that link, you piece of crap. Come on. What's the matter with you? Stupid. Alright. Hi, Nicholas Little. Boy, hopping right into a question before we've even done introductions and everything. You're just in a rush for 7th's knowledge, aren't you? Yes, you are. Good God. Okay, well, first of all, it's hot in here, so let me get a sip of tea. Wet the old whistle before we get going with the festivities, such as they are. I'm just waiting for a few more people to get in here and for the bell to strike 6. How am I looking on battery power? Not too good. Wish I'd thought of that before I came in here, but it is what it is. Hi, Ben. Okay, well, it is Saturday. It is 6 o'clock, August 19th, 2023, and this is the 7th Cast. As always, I'm your venerable host, your wet-haired host, your friendly neighborhood 7th. 8th is currently probably on the way home from work because one of his friends volunteered to go pick him up so I wouldn't have to do this stuff late. And that's where we are. I've been looking around for news to be my lead-offs for today. Didn't find anything at all worth talking about. Nothing special. There's nothing really going on in the gaming world, which August is kind of infamous for that. No pun intended. So this is going to be 2 weekends in a row where it's pretty much just whatever y'all want to talk about. From Christopher Lee Jackson, yo ho ho, how is 8th updates? Yes, that's true. Last week, 8th, which I explained in last week's stream, 8th caught Coof for the second time in a row. And he's more or less over that. He had one bad day where he was achy and had a bad headache and was coughing, but never got down in his chest. It was just the same as last time, just like a sinus infection. And now he's fine, and today was his first day back to work, so he's doing good. He's still wearing his mask because it was mandated by both his doctor and his employer to wear it on his way back. Because there's a certain period where even when you're feeling better, you're still contagious. I didn't catch nothing. This is the second time in a row where he's gotten, where he's caught it, and I didn't catch it from him. it's like I'll start to feel like I might be getting that way. I'll get like stopped up in one nostril and I'll get a headache, and then 3 hours later it's gone. I'm not sure why that is. Eighth seems to think that because I'm a child of the 80s and we spent, our lives running around in the Tennessee backwoods, kicking up dirt and getting into trouble, and, was just basically out in the world a lot more than he was as a kid, that I, over time, built a stronger immune system than he has. That's what he thinks. Who knows? All I know is that we're going on 4 years into this thing, and I've still yet to catch it once. I did get the shots just to play it safe, but then again, so did Eighth, and he's had it twice now. I haven't had it at all. I just think that there's some people that are more predisposed to get it than others. To me, at this point, it feels like it's a 50-50 shot. Either you're genetically predisposed to catch this thing or you are not. And so far, I just haven't caught it. I've had sinus infections in the last 4 years, but I haven't had COVID. I don't know. Hi, Tokes. How's it going, sir? Let's see here. Tokes in the house. What up? We're going to be talking about you a little bit down the road, Tokes. Not in a bad way, of course. Not in a bad way. Not in a bad way. I get asked about you a lot, and of course, as you know, there have been a couple of folks from back in the old days that took all that stuff way more seriously than I did, that to this day still question why I befriended you. And yeah, I don't know why that is, but it is. Let's see here. Welcome back, Cotter. I wonder if Bond would be interested in streaming Armor Core 6. Why? Did it come out this week? I know 8th wants it, but I didn't know if it had come out or not. Are you going to get Red Dead Redemption? Nah, at least not for the Switch. And I don't really see a whole lot of point in buying it for PS4 because, if they're not doing that much graphically to upgrade it, then aside from the resolution that it's at, why should I care? I have it on both PS3 and 360 at this point, so I'm coming up with I'm having a hard time coming up with a reason to buy it, Tokes. I mean, I currently don't even own Red Dead Redemption 2. I played it, I beat it, I didn't like it, I reviewed it, I traded it in. Probably shouldn't have done that, but that's what I did. Because of how much I disliked it. You lost your ability to walk and were in a bed for 6 months? Good Lord. I'm not saying it don't exist. I know it exists. My son's called it twice. But everyone that I do know that's had it, it's just been like getting a cold or the flu. There hasn't been like any, ending up in the hospital on a ventilator or any of that stuff. Not saying it doesn't happen. I know someone who died from it. They weren't a friend. They were a coworker, not a face-to-face coworker. Someone I knew over the work network that lived up in the northern states, and he got it. And because of him getting it, he developed pneumonia, and he passed away. He was a good guy too, family man and everything. Yeah, there was a I'll tell you more about it off camera, Tokes, but there was an individual or two that questioned why, after our little back and forth, why I actually took the time to talk to you and work it out and become friends and whatnot. And I'll tell you more about that later. Everybody hates the Red Dead Redemption re-release. Young Ye destroyed it. Some ordinary gamers destroyed it. I mean, I can understand if you had like a Wii in the PS3 360 generation, so you never got to play it, why you might want it for the Switch. I could see that. But after the butchering that the Liberty City collection or whatever it was called that came out like a year ago or whenever it was, that was so bug riddled and they had changed the character models a lot and everything, that I don't know why anyone would trust Red Dead Redemption aside from someone who had never played it on a previous system. So they're not going to know any better. Hey, 7th, now that the 360 store will end next year, how long do you give it until Sony will pull the plug in the Vita and PS3? They'll probably be right up behind them. And I need to hurry up and get what I want from the... Well, I mean, I don't care about the 360 store because, I don't buy anything on the 360 itself. I buy games that aren't available on Game Pass off of the Xbox store, but I don't log in with my 360 and buy anything. As of right now, there is a backwards compatible game that I want that's a 360 game, and for God's sakes, they never did a physical release for it, and I don't know why. I'm trying to remember the name of it now. I tweeted about it earlier today. Hang on a second. What was the name of that game? I really want a copy of it, and I hate the fact that the only way I can get it is digital. That's really sticking in my craw. Let me see what it was. It was, let's see here. Marlowe Briggs. There's a game called Marlowe Briggs for the 360 that I really want to buy, but they never released it physically. And basically what it is it's a full-on God of War clone, plays just like God of War, but it also has like an arcade-inspired top-down shooter section. It's got kind of an on-rails, almost light gunny section at one point. But its main gameplay plays exactly like God of War, and it takes place in modern day, and the hero is a black guy named Marlowe Briggs, and it's got a lot of tongue-in-cheek humor to it. You could almost say that it's kind of a 70s inspired blaxploitation take on a God of War style game, and it's actually one of the better God of War clones out there. Maybe just a little bit lower than Dante's Inferno as far as quality goes. But I really want it, but they don't make a physical copy of it, so at some point I'm going to have to go on the Xbox store and buy it for $15, which sticks in my craw, but it is what it is. Anyway, when we left things off last week, I know this doesn't reflect it because this only shows donations that have been made through Streamlabs, because it's the stuff with the super chat is broken. We were at $78 out of a $300 goal, so that's where we're at, and we've only got a few more of these. So if you want to help me and 8th in regards to going to Retropalooza, feel free. All right, let's see here. Hi, J-Ram. Is Chrono Trigger the best RPG? Well, it might be one of the best JRPGs. I don't know about the best RPG, period. I wish I could get a Blu-ray copy of Adventures in Game Chasing. Tweet, Chris, send a tweet to the Game Chasers Twitter, because I know they said they had some leftover copies. So reach out to them and see if they have a site where you can go buy one. Otherwise, I would imagine that what's left they're going to be selling at Retropalooza in a few weeks. You might not get an autographed one like mine, but you'd certainly get one if they still have any left. Trust me, they won't mind selling you one. Especially, Chris, if you tell them 7th sent you. Hi, Alexis. What's the best game you've played this year? Hogwarts Legacy. I haven't played Horizon Forbidden West or whatever. Whatever the new one was. I haven't played it yet. 8th has it. He's already beat it. I haven't played it. I'm just not a big fan of that series. I haven't even beat the first one yet, because I'm just not that big of a fan of it. Contrary to popular belief, I don't universally like everything that Sony puts out. And I have been critical of Sony games in the past. I didn't like Drive Club. I didn't like most of the games on the Move. I've been vocal in the past in saying, I don't like that. I don't like The Last of Us or The Last of Us Part 2. And I really don't like Neil Druckmann. Seventh, by stating you didn't like Red Dead 2, did you hate the story besides the character Arthur Morgan, or you just didn't like it in general? Nicholas on my channel is a full review of Red Dead Redemption 2. It'll tell you everything I didn't like about it. But the main thing I didn't like about it was the plot and the plot structure. Because if you actually sit down and think about the plot, it makes all of them look like idiots. Because the same thing keeps happening to them over and over again. It's like every chapter, aside from the last one and the chapter where they all end up in Cuba or whatever, it's the same thing every time. They get a tip on a potential big heist. They go to do this big heist. Somebody betrays them or something else happens to make the heist go completely wrong, and everyone gets into a big gunfight. They barely make it out alive, and then they turn right around in the next chapter and let the same damn thing happen again. It's just botched heist after botched heist over and over again. It's like they didn't really know how to build a good narrative and build gameplay around that narrative. So you end up just basically doing the same thing over and over through the bulk of the game from a plot level. Let's see. Yeah, 8th is feeling better now. Thank you for asking, Clean Frame. $5 from J-Ram. J-Ram, I appreciate it, sir. Way to go, sir. Welcome aboard. I'm sorry, I can't remember how many you have or haven't been on for it. I get the feeling that you're a newer account, that or you changed your screen name. But appreciate the $5. Thank you. That puts us up to $83. Of course, the thing of it is that YouTube won't pay you until your YouTube account gets up to 100. And right now, from all the super chats y'all have been doing instead of the Streamlabs link that's up here at the top, that's now at about 55. And so we've got like 45 more to go before I'll get a check from YouTube. So, just a reminder, I appreciate super chats. I appreciate them very much. If you donate using the Streamlabs link, I get it same day, and I get more of it. With YouTube, I don't get any of it until that account hits $100, and then you might get a check a month after that, several weeks. And secondly, they keep 30% of it. But I appreciate it. Anytime anybody sends me anything, I appreciate it. So thanks a lot, J-Ram. Let's see here. Joy Legacy. Have you ever played Lost Odyssey on the 360? I have, Tokes, and I have it. It's sitting on my shelf right now. It's possibly the best Final Fantasy game after Final Fantasy 12, even though it's not officially a Final Fantasy game. That was the most entertaining part of last week's podcast, your hate for Neil Druckmann. Yeah, I can never understate it. I can never understate it. Lost Odyssey is the best game ever on the 360. Best RPG, well, best JRPG. It's harder to say with RPG because I like Western ones too. And of course, 360 had Oblivion and Skyrim and what have you. Alex, don't mess with my drum case. If that fell on you, it wouldn't feel good. Do you think the Star Wars franchise is done for the time being? I don't know if they'll ever get over the damage that Kathleen Kennedy has done to it. I really don't know. Jury's out on that one. I've been jumping in and out for a couple months. Cool. I've got something special coming for y'all, though. I got something special coming for y'all. There's been a few, very, very few, chosen few, who I sent a preview of it last night and made them swear to secrecy not to show it to anybody. So they know what's coming, but y'all don't know what's coming. Oh, it's going to be fun. It is definitely going to be fun. The first episode of it should go live Monday or Tuesday afternoon, depending on how fast it takes me to edit it tomorrow. I already got pieces of it put together, but I got to combine it all and do my voiceover work and all that. And so it should be going live Monday or Tuesday. Hi, Stranded J. How's it going? Legit gamer question incoming. Would you rather have high health with high defense or low health with health regen? High health with high defense. I don't trust health regen, especially if you are if you're surrounded. It never quite seems like health regen is fast enough. You know what I'm saying? Elon Musk wanting to remove the block option for Twitter is a horrible idea, and he got roasted. Yeah, I can't agree with that one either. Because, you know, I understand that some people say, oh, well, it's a free speech thing. Not for Elon Musk, it's not. I would guess that the real reason Musk wanted to do that was that people have been blocking the Twitter accounts that ad campaigns use. And it's costing them ad revenue. That would be my biggest guess as to why he really wanted to do it. Wow. What's your favorite console from each generation? Oh, Lord. Atari 2600, even though Coleco has better graphics. NES, Genesis, PS1, PS2, PS3, PS4, PS5. Do you think consoles as we know them are still a thing, or are they just PC? At this point, they're mostly just really mid-level, at barely mid-level PCs. You know, they might be fairly powerful when they first come out, but within a couple of years, they're completely outclassed. So, you know, I can remember a time where, on PC you had stuff like Doom and Heretic and Duke Nukem and all these really cool polygon 3D games, but the PC couldn't do side-scrolling platformers and that kind of game worth a crap. Just not worth a crap. I think the first one I ever saw that at least seemed to run as smooth as what you would see on a console was Jazz Jackrabbit. But for the longest time there, their libraries were mostly split because the architecture was different and they were built to do different things graphically. But now it's like you can mostly get all the same stuff no matter what you have. It's just a matter of visual fidelity. So for me, it's taken a lot of the fun out of it. I used to play on PC and console, and now I just play on console because I don't want to sit in here at this desk and play games, and I don't want to have like a computer sitting in my living room. So, and no, I don't want a Steam Deck. 8th wants a Steam Deck. I don't care about Steam Deck. Nor do I care, I've already discussed this, but nor do I care about this Project Q or whatever, this, streaming handheld Sony's coming out with, because again, $150 and this does all of it and more anyway. Set my tea over there. Let's see here. Who do you think is a better entertainer, Michael Jackson or Prince? Michael Jackson. Don't get me wrong. I think Prince was an excellent musician. He was a great guitarist. And there's several other instruments that he can play, and quite well. And I think he's a good singer and songwriter, although there were some periods of his career where, for whatever reason, he chose to sing in different tones of voice than his typical, and it would make me like him less every time he did it, like that song Kiss or whatever. You don't have to be rich. I could stand that crap. It sounded like somebody that had a chunk of hamburger stuck in their esophagus trying to sing. I never did like that song. I didn't like the way he sang it. I preferred, his tone of voice from like When Doves Cry and Purple Rain, the classic Prince. You don't have to be. Oh, God, I hated it. Nails down the chalkboard of my brain every time that song came on the radio. But Michael Jackson, you heard a Michael Jackson song, you knew who it was. And honestly, I don't think Prince could hold up against him on the dance floor. Let's just put it that way. Anyway. By the time Kathleen Kennedy leaves, do you think she will pick a successor that could be worse? I would imagine that they're not going to allow her to pick a successor. I think a successor will be picked. I think Iger will pick a successor. And my vote goes for Jon Favreau. It might be that Trelawney guy or whatever his name is, the guy that came up with Clone Wars or whatever, but my vote goes for Jon Favreau because he's the only one that's consistently, put out good stuff. I mean, there were some mistakes made with the most recent season of The Mandalorian, but overall, Favreau has been consistent, and I think that's who they should put in charge of it. Thoughts on how restrictive YouTube has become over the years. YouTube ain't what it was when I got started. It really isn't. They've taken all the fun out of it. They've taken all the individuality out of it. It's now just another corporate streaming site to me, like Netflix or Amazon Prime. Only we still have the ability to post videos, but they've made it infinitely harder for people to actually discover your content. Basically, no one's going to find you unless you cookie cut your crap to mimic the tricks that others have used to get around the algorithm. Example, Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast has a video that explains exactly how to get the algorithm to promote your stuff. I just refuse to do any of it because I don't want to be cookie cutter. I want to be me. And if that means that I don't get, hundreds of thousands of views and subscribers, and so be it. I ain't doing this for a living anyway. And that's the biggest thing, is that, YouTube went from being creative and doing something that's fun and something you're passionate about to doing what you think will make you money. And if you want to see a perfect example of that, look at Tipster. That's all you need to know. When do you think we'll see Devil May Cry 6? I don't know if we will see one. I would imagine we would because it sold well, but you never know in this industry. You never know. John Carpenter or Wes Craven? Ooh. That's a hard one to call because they've both had movies that will forever be considered classics, but they've also had movies that, I wouldn't have felt right using them as torture implements in Guantanamo Bay. Yeah, that's how bad they are. I'd say they're kind of on an even keel there. Maybe slightly edging out John Carpenter because of his musician skills that Wes Craven didn't have. No, I don't think PlayStation will come out with a Steam Deck-like device. Speaking of Kiss in 1999, they were on a Nitro event. I know, I saw it live. It was to introduce their wrestler, the Kiss Demon. The Kiss Demon, who was basically just a wrestler dressed up like Gene Simmons. Because Gene Simmons, the reason that he has all the money he has is not because of his musical ability or the records. It's because of merchandising. From Spaceballs. Yogurt. As Yogurt would say, merchandising. That's Gene Simmons. He will slap his face on anything if he thinks it'll sell. That's why they've had Kiss coffins and Kiss condoms. Anyway. Hi, Ultra Steel. I cook great cookies, Maxim. You shouldn't even have to consider that thought. I cook great cookies. I'm just not supposed to anymore. And I'm pretty much done making videos and stuff. Just isn't fun for me anymore. 15 years was a good run. Yeah. I'm still having fun with it, but it's not as fun as it used to be because I don't have as big of an audience, and so I don't get the interaction that I used to. I used to get hundreds of comments. 30, 40, 50, 100,000 views, 1.2 million views. I don't get that anymore. My game room tour is still under 1,000 views. It's at like 910 or something like that. And that video's 3 weeks old. 8th is feeling better, thanks. Twilight Zone the movie? I like Twilight Zone the movie. I skip over the Vietnam part, not simply because people died making it, but because it's just not very entertaining. But the other stories in it I like a lot. I just don't like that one piece. It's just boring to me. Pork Chop Express. Yep. Well, what Jack Burton always says, it's all in the reflexes. If the Days Gone movie does well, do you think that will pave the way for a Days Gone 2? There's a Days Gone movie? I didn't even know. Didn't even know. But I would assume that if a Days Gone movie did well, then that might prompt them to greenlight a sequel, yes. I think 1886, The Order, would make a great movie. Or a great series, like on HBO or something. Did you get a chance to play Resident Evil 4 Remake? No, I haven't played it. 8th beat it already. I didn't play it. Would you agree that Kiss from a Rose is one of the best songs ever made? Not for me. I'm not saying it's a bad song, it's just not my style of stuff, man. I'm not into that kind of stuff. What's the worst horror movie cliche of all time? The fake jump scare. The fake jump scare. You know. Guy is slowly opening a closet door and a black cat jumps out. Or, a shoe box that's sitting precariously close to the edge of the shelf falls over. Yeah, that kind of crap. That's the worst for me. The other one being, let's all split up. That never works. From Tokes, what do you think of Rockstar juicing us gamers out of money with GTA 5 updates for almost 10 years? It is what it is, man. That's what a lot of these companies do now. You know, the game that they put out isn't really a game. It's just a platform to sell meaningless stuff. That's all it is. That's why I don't touch multiplayer games out of sheer principle. Games that are always online, you know, unless it's Diablo. If it requires you to be online to even just boot the game up and play it single player, I don't want to buy it. Do you own Eternal Darkness for the GameCube? I used to own it. It's one of the ones that Wood walked out of here with. I thought it was good. I don't think it's the masterpiece that everyone says it is. I think a lot of that was just the fact that it was like the first big survival horror game on the GameCube, and the GameCube wasn't getting a whole lot of games, and so everyone, highly praised it, simply because it was their horror game. But I mean, it's not a bad game, but I don't think it's this masterpiece that everyone seems to think it is. Yeah, I don't even, Jay, I don't care about making money on YouTube. I don't care about being famous or whatnot, all that kind of crap. I don't know if I would even want more than 50,000 subs. Because my main thing is, I would like there to be maybe, at least 50 to 60 people that watch this every weekend. Because at one point, I was over the 100 mark on the 7thCast. But it was starting to get to where people were asking questions too fast for me to answer them all. So, I would like more interaction than I currently am getting. I appreciate what I've got, but I'd like to get some more. Because it just makes it more fun for me to talk with more people. Do you and 8th play co-op at all? Every now and again we do. Or we make plans to and then never do. Like, we bought 2 copies of Dead Island 2 so we could play it together in co-op. Still haven't done it. 7th, do you think people are more offended in this day and age in terms of opinions on movies and games and sports because we've become a hedonist society and people crave comfort? No, I think it's because various different things have injected politics into film and into opinion of film, so it's becoming increasingly harder to just enjoy a movie for the sake of wanting to watch a fun movie. Now everything has to have a message, and everyone has to debate that message or try to cancel the filmmakers because they don't like the message. 7, do you think Jeepers Creepers is dead as a franchise after the most recent one? Probably. I mean, that was some direct-to-video level crap, which is exactly what it was. I'm not complaining that much because the series was created by a pedophile, but, I am sick of the horror multiplayer games. Friday the 13th, Evil Dead, Texas Chainsaw. They put so much effort into great accuracy and detail for nothing. Yeah, because I can't stand that gameplay style. the asynchronous online or whatever, where your friends all trying to get away from an evil, and they even they did it to some extent in Evil Dead the game. I don't like that kind of gameplay. It's just not fun to me. How do you think Guardians of the Galaxy would have panned out if Joseph Gordon-Levitt never turned down the role to play Star-Lord? No idea. I didn't even know he had auditioned for it. I don't think it would have been as fun. I mean, I've seen Joseph Gordon-Levitt do comedy, obviously. He was in Third Rock from the Sun or whatever, but... That reminds me, did you guys know that one of Tom Cruise's earliest films was an R-rated sex comedy with Jackie Earle Haley, the guy that played Rorschach and played Freddy in the Nightmare reboot? And it's about 3 high school guys that sneak off to Mexico because they want to lose their virginity before graduating from high school. It's called Losing It. Yeah. I'd imagine that Tom Cruise doesn't want people to know that he was in that these days, but he was. Came out in 1983. Let's see here. Did you notice that the bad guy in any movie ever is always a bad shot? Is always a bad shot. Oh, yeah. Seriously, the bad guys can't hit the ocean with a bullet. Well, it depends. Johnny Rico was a good shot. He just wasn't as fast as Doc Holliday. I agree. If I could go live and just chat with people, make vids, people could talk about, that's all I need. I make enough money. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm on here asking to lend a hand for me to go to Retropalooza, but I'm doing it in the exchange of, I'll film some footage and make a video of it and show you, the deals I got and all that kind of stuff in exchange for that. And even then, I've been to several Retropaloozas where I didn't ask y'all for shit because, normally it wouldn't be an issue. It's just I got hit with a lot of bad luck this summer, and it ate away at my money that I'd saved up for it. So now I'm kind of in a tighter spot than I was wanting to be. Favorite B movie? That's hard to say because I got a lot of them. I rewatched one of my favorites just the other day, a movie from 1985 called My Science Project. Don't bother going to look for it on streaming. You won't find it. The only place you can get it is in a region-free Blu-ray. I'm sure you could find it sailing the high seas, but, for some reason, it's an 80s sci-fi comedy that people don't talk about. I don't know why, because it's just as good as the ones that they do talk about, like The Explorers and Gremlins and all these other ones from that era, but it doesn't get the love that the others do, and I don't get that. It's a fun movie. Would you ever come up north to visit northern states? If I had the time and the money and a good reason to, sure. As of right now, the farthest north I've ever been was Louisville, Kentucky. Never gone any farther north than that. Never had a reason to. PS6 coming out 2026. Well, that sounds about right. I'm just wearing all superhero movies and run-of-the-mill cinematic universes. Yeah. By the way, have you watched the channel Nexpo? Yeah, I'm subscribed to Nexpo. I love his videos. He does good stuff. I'm not as big a fan of that new channel he created where he's going ghost hunting with a friend of his. I don't really care about that because that's been done to death. But his main channel I like a lot. I mean, he practically invented the whole I'm going to talk softly and deeply right up into the microphone about something creepy that I saw on YouTube. He basically invented that genre. Because, when he came out, the only other guy doing it was Chills. And Chills was like some kind of weird, messed up California Valley boy thing. We're going to be looking at the scariest things on YouTube. I can't even mimic his accent. It was so bad. And the weird part is when you see him just talking normally, he doesn't sound like that at all. He puts it on for those videos, if he even still makes them. I haven't seen a Chills video in forever. But Nexpo I love. Spideyverse is okay. That movie to me is overrated too. I don't like the animation style. I don't like that sketchy frame rate crap. Where it's like it's CG, but they almost want it to look like it's stop motion animation. I don't like that style of animation. I want my full 24 frames, or don't bother. 7th, in my earlier question, I don't think just politics is the issue with opinions nowadays. I feel it's just because people want you to like what they like, and if you don't, people seem to go after you. Well, to some extent that could be true. I mean, we've seen that in console war fights for years. But it seems to be more just if you don't believe what they believe, and if they believe a movie is a good movie and you don't, well, that goes along with that, you know? A little extra pocket money is always welcome, just not what I'm looking for. Exactly. Let's see. What's a better Wild West game than Red Dead Redemption 2? It's not exactly a big genre in video games. Doesn't mean that that doesn't mean that it's a good game just because it's one of the few out there, though. How would you rank the live-action Transformers movies? Well, I think for the ones that are good, they're about the same. So I can only really speak to the ones I don't like. Hello, 8th.
Hello.
Feeling better?
Uh-huh.
Okay, good. All right, so cameo from 8th to get his dog. So I like the first one. I like the third one. And I like Bumblebee. That's about it. I've seen the newest one, and I mean, it was all right, but I didn't consider it like any better really than some of the other Bay movies. I think it was fun that there was a G.I. Joe tease at the end of it. That's about it. And I mean, I'll jump at the chance to hear Peter Cullen reprise his role as Optimus every time. As long as he's in it, I'll watch it. The thing of is, he's in his 70s now. How much longer is he going to be able to do that? He ain't going to be around forever. What are they going to do? Kill off Optimus again and replace him with Hot Rod? Think about it. They've already done Hot Rod and they gave him like a French accent. Still don't understand that one. Let's see here. What amazing person got you that Dr. Sleep poster? Gee, Jay, I'm not entirely sure. I can't remember his name, but he looks like this. Oh, now I can't get it back in the frame there. There we go. That's better. Are you familiar with Tubi? Yeah, I'm familiar with Tubi. What movies do you recommend? For me, the majority of what's on Tubi is direct-to-video bullshit that none of the other stations wanted to pay for. None of the other streamers wanted to pay for. Let's see here. Did you hear Shady J's shot glass story the other night? No, I did not. Let them hate as long as they don't physically... Yeah. Only use me blade as a mess. Now, that's a lolcow that I haven't really followed very much. I'm fairly familiar with Chris Chan and King Cobra JFX. Cyrax, I'm familiar with him. But Only Use Me Blade is a lolcow that I haven't really delved into that one too deep. I know he's a drunk. That's about all I know about him. The only time I use my cable is to watch AEW wrestling. Other than that, I mainly use my Roku. Yeah, I don't have a Roku. I just go straight through my PS5. And I haven't had broadcast cable in years and years. Since before I moved to Texas, which was 6.5 years ago. What's your whole take on the putting the art before the artist thing? Well, I can agree to a certain extent. A lot of it has to do with the timing of when they appeared. They're product of their generation. For example, H.P. Lovecraft. Wrote some of the best horror fiction that's ever been put to paper, but he was prejudiced as all get out. I'm just saying. Living Legend, $5. Thank you, Living Legend. 7th, what are your thoughts on the new My Arcade Atari Game Station Pro that's supposedly to come out? I haven't heard anything about it. Nobody in my circles appears to be talking about it. Because I don't read gaming news sites or anything. I just look at my Twitter feed. And if nobody in my Twitter feed is talking about it, I don't know about it. I got tired of going to IGN and N4G and all that crap. I don't watch none of that stuff anymore. Now, you see what I mean? I lost track of time, and I didn't get out. I didn't get into the shower quick enough to get on here. And if I don't blow dry my hair, it starts to curl. It gets curly. And stringy. And I can sit here and try to straighten that out with a brush and try to comb those curls out, and they just spring right back on there. You know what I mean? They just pop right back into place. What can you do? What can you do? Let's see here. They'll AI his voice. Yeah, they might very well do that. Thoughts on Call of Juarez? Never liked him. Ultra Magnus. Frank Welker is getting older too, true. Speaking of jump scares, warn a man before showing a ghost ginger on a Polaroid. Well, gingivitis affects millions of people. Let's not be let's not go there, Jay. We wouldn't want to offend anybody. At the 7th level, watch Moon Garden. I highly recommend it. What's it on, Chris? I mean, tonight I was planning on rewatching Wolf of Wall Street. I've been on a kind of a Scorsese / gangster flick thing for the last several days. I've rewatched all of the Godfather movies, even the third one, and Casino and Goodfellas. Yeah, I've just watched a ton. I even rewatched The Irishman, all 3.5 hours of it. So that's been the kick I've been on the last several days. But go on Twitter, Chris, and remind me. Send me a message about Moon Garden and tell me what service I can watch it on. And I'll give you my thoughts. Favorite Hellraiser movie? Hellraiser 2. I like Hellraiser 1 and Hellraiser 2. The rest of them are pretty crap. The reboot was okay. It was good, not great. I didn't hate it. Thoughts on the poor marketing Well, there hasn't been a marketing campaign for the Snow White remake. It's just been leaks, and then that actress running her mouth and making it look even worse. There hasn't been any official marketing for Snow White from Disney as of yet. Dragon Quest XI is one of the best turn-based RPGs to come out in a long time. It is a classic. Love it. Get pink oil for that. Get pink oil for what? My hair? Are you interested in that Toxic Crusaders game coming out? I don't know anything about the game. I know there's a movie being made of it. They're remaking Toxic Avengers. And it's going to have a bigger budget. It's not going to be a Troma budget from what I understand. All right, Jay, I'll talk to you later. Have you played some indie games this year? If so, can you rattle them off? I couldn't remember their names off the top of my head, but yeah, I've played a ton of indie games this year. A lot of them on Game Pass. I will tell you what I look for. Before I try out any quirky little, experience games like Gone Home or Edith Finch or any of that, when I go onto Game Pass, you know what I look for first? New indie Metroidvanias. That's my jam when it comes to indie. I want the Metroidvanias. And I love that genre. So, that one, I can't remember its name, but the one that looks like Castlevania 2, but it also has a hidden Contra mode that gives you a gun and basically makes you invincible in the game. I really loved that one. There was another one that was a Metroidvania but had kind of a Ghost and Goblins visual look to it. I really liked that one. There's been a lot of really good Metroidvanias this year, and that's what I look for. I really like 8 and 16-bit era-inspired Metroidvanias. It's on Amazon Prime. Okay, I'll look it up. Have you finally watched... just remind me to look it up, Chris. Have you finally watched Midnight Watch in its entirety? It's a Mafia movie, after all. Midnight Watch. I'm not familiar with Midnight Watch. I'm familiar with that Russian fantasy movie Night Watch and its sequel Day Watch, but I'm not familiar with Midnight Watch. So we've had $10 donated. That most recent $5, that put us up to $88 out of 300. So thank you. I'm going to open up a notepad and keep track because, again, this thing up at the top does not track my stupid super chats. It only does the Streamlabs. So we've had a 5 and we've had another 5. And we started at 78. There, now I can keep track of it so I know where we're at. Hi, 8th. 8th in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. 8th in the chat. Midnight Run. Oh, I saw Midnight Run a long time ago. It's okay. It's not one of my favorites, though. My favorite of all time, obviously, is Goodfellas. Goodfellas is just on a whole other level. I like the Godfather trilogy, but when you watch them, it's very operatic. It's very drama driven. It's not a realistic portrayal of what the Mafia is actually like. It's all about love of family and loyalty and all this bullshit. The history of the Mafia is full of them killing their own family members if there was a financial justification for it. So, while I love the first 2 Godfather movies, the reality of that, if you want to see what the Mafia was really like, watch Goodfellas. Life of Black Tiger or Miley Cyrus, which game was worse? Miley Cyrus, because I actually had to plat that one. 7th, do you have interest in the Blue Beetle film? None whatsoever. Thoughts on Tina's Wonderland? I like it. I don't like it as much as the main core Borderlands games, but it was fun. I beat it, I just haven't platted it yet. I've got a bunch of side stuff to do. If Chris Latta, who voiced Starscream and voiced Cobra Commander in G1, was still alive, do you think he'd voice him would he have voiced him in the live action Transformers movie? If they gave him the opportunity, absolutely. Revenge of the Green Dragon is the last puzzle piece of the Mafia genre. Both Ray Liotta and Kev Jumba, another YouTuber, are in it. Revenge of the Green Dragon is not a Mafia movie. Isn't that like a Power Rangers ripoff? Or am I thinking of White Dragon? I don't know about Revenge of the Green Dragon. I thought that was that one that it was like the last movie that that actor who played Tommy on Power Rangers did before he died, and it was like a Power Rangers ripoff. We need a Happy Time Mafia movie. The Mafia remake for PS4 was pretty good. Yeah, but you know what, Brother Natural? To my knowledge, they never came out with a 60 frames per second patch for PS5. And so I ended up never finishing the re-release of Mafia because of that. Thoughts on the movie Blow? I didn't like that one as much because it's just all about, drug dealers and being stoned and undercover people, and it just wasn't as fun for me. I find it interesting that the people who say gaming is dead are people who only play multiplayer games. You're usually right, yeah. Revenge of the Green Dragon is a Ray Liotta Mafia movie. I've never seen it. I don't know if it's any good. Thoughts on current era Disney and their film creativity? Dead and dead. Hi, Titanfall Princess. How's it going? No, I'm not toking up. This is just regular vape. I don't do that kind of stuff. I'm a good boy. Thoughts on how Jason operated in Friday the 13th, 2009? I thought it was stupid. The whole hopping from body to body thing, I thought it was dumb. It was a dumb addition. And they've never gone back to it with anything else that they've done with him, so, Thoughts on Blade 2? I love Blade 2. I don't know why people don't like that one. Blade 3 is the one that sucks. Blade 2 was great. Because Blade 2... Blade 1 was a great action movie. Blade 2 is a horror movie with action scenes in it. And so, to me, Blade 2 was a little bit truer to the old school Blade comics as far as their vibe. It is not good. It's actually remarkably bad. So 8th has watched it and felt that it was not a good film. Okay. Gotcha, 8th. I mean, most of Ray Liotta's stuff for the last... I mean, I know he's dead now, but most of his stuff for the last several years has been, like, really low-budget, direct-to-video crap, so... That doesn't exactly surprise me. Thoughts on The Sopranos? You know what? You'd think I'd love it, but I never got into it. I tried to watch it, and I couldn't get into it. I don't know why. I loved Breaking Bad, but for some reason, I couldn't get into The Sopranos. I don't know. Best and worst comedian. Best would be George Carlin, and worst would be that heavyset blonde woman. I don't remember her name. The one that just talks about her smelly genitals a lot on her Netflix specials. I can't remember her name now. Amy something. I think it was Amy. I don't like her. I think she's terrible. I'm a good girl, but I didn't say you were a bad girl. And it's not like I haven't enjoyed a little herb from time to time. Yeah, Amy Schumer, yeah. I've enjoyed herb in my younger years and once accidentally in 2019, but... Starfield Metacritic prediction score. Somewhere between 88 and 93 would be my guess. My favorite scene in Blade 2 is when he literally cuts the guy in half. Yeah. Thoughts on the Warriors film and the game? I didn't play the game enough to have a good opinion on it. I'm honestly not a big fan of that movie. I think it's kind of cheesy. You know, because you got guys walking around dressed in baseball outfits and guys dressed like mimes. And to me, it's just dumb. It's just dumb. It's a nice thought, Clean Frame, but Titanfall Princess is not going to go from New Jersey all the way down to Texas just to see my fat ass. It's not going to happen. That's too much of a drive to ask of anybody. Dave Chappelle and the dude that stole the chipmunks, whatever his name. I don't know. I don't get that. I don't know that reference, Eighth. I mean, obviously I know who Chappelle is. But for me, I like Carlin better than Chappelle. I love Chappelle, but I like Carlin better. For me, it's Carlin, Chappelle, Pryor. Those are the top three. And right below Pryor is Eddie Murphy when he was in his prime. See you next time, 7th. About to watch AEW. Have a good one. Best indie Metroidvania. Probably that one I just talked about. I can't remember the name of it, but it came out like in the last year or so, and it's on everything, and it looks like Castlevania, but it has an optional mode where you can play it like Contra. Rank the Halloween movies from worst to best. Halloween, everything else. Halloween's the best, everything else is the worst. Halloween, the original Halloween's the only good one. Oh, by the way, I almost forgot. Hang on, everybody. We have 2 hours remaining. 2 hours. We had $10 in donations. We are currently at $88 towards the $300 goal. Moving along. The villain from Alvin and the Chipmunks. I don't even remember who the villain was. I don't even remember who that was. Are you talking about David Cross? I think his name is David Cross or something like that. The guy that painted himself blue in Arrested Development. I never liked Dane Cook. I don't think he's any good. Which are your favorite Final Destination movie? I never really liked that series, to be honest, Tokes, because it's kind of a one-trick pony. You just watch them to see what new and inventive deaths they'll come up with. I played that new AEW game. It was good at first, but ended up being really weird. You know what, Titanfall? I haven't enjoyed a wrestling video game since that WWE All-Stars that was on 360 and PS3. That was the last one that I really loved, because I just like the more arcadey ones. When they get to be a little bit too complicated in their movesets and everything, I don't like them. I like them playing more like, arcadey like that one was. Infernax. That's the one I'm thinking of, Tharp. Thank you. Infernax, to me, is my favorite indie Metroidvania. Patrice O'Neal. I don't consider Halloween 3 a Halloween movie. Me neither. Have you played Dodgeball Academy? I don't think so, Clean Frame. I've played a lot of Super Dodgeball for the NES, but I haven't played Dodgeball Academy, I don't believe. What's your opinion on Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest? It's one of my favorites. You know, it doesn't quite have the Metroidvania formula, but it's almost there. And where all of my friends hated it, I loved it. Bug Story. Bug Story? Who was that question for? Me? And what was it pertaining to there, Titanfall? Godfrey, Earthquake, Anthony John. All Stars was really good. It's been my favorite. I wish they would re-release that one at 60 frames per second, but I know they won't because they'd have to license all those old wrestlers again. Been playing Evil West, but just got so bored and I turned it off. Another $5 from Living Legends. Thank you, sir. That puts us up to 15 for the night. Favorite Del Toro horror flick? Mine is Crimson Peak. I like Crimson Peak, but it felt more like a gothic romance ghost story than a pure-on horror film to me. But I did enjoy it. Wasn't the best, but it was good. As far as like my favorite horror film of his, ooh, that's a bit of a toughie. I'd have to look his filmography up. I know one of the ones he did that I really liked was The Devil's Backbone. I wasn't a huge fan of Pan's Labyrinth because to me that didn't feel like a horror movie. It felt more like a sort of a dark Alice in Wonderland. Let me see here. Del Toro filmography. Let's see. Hellboy, Nightmare Alley, Crimson Peak. Chrono. I did like Chronos. I wasn't a fan of The Orphanage. I liked Mimic a lot. Mimic was good. Yeah, I think I got to go with The Devil's Backbone, man. I got to go with The Devil's Backbone. Be right back. Okay. Yeah, I like Saturday Night Slam Masters. I like the WrestleMania, both of the WrestleMania arcade games. I didn't like the WrestleMania arcade game. I did like WrestleFest. Yeah, that's pretty much it. What is a food you like but everyone else hates? My grandmother passed down a recipe to me that she called it roast beef salad, and basically what it is you cook a roast and you marinate it in Italian dressing with peppers and onions overnight to let it soak up that Italian dressing, and so it's basically a roast that tastes like Italian dressing with onions and green peppers. Eighth seems to like it, but everyone else that I've ever introduced to it hated it. So I don't know. Blasphemous is my favorite indie Metroidvania. I've heard people saying that Blasphemous 2 has a lot of issues. I don't know. Favorite part of Casino? Probably where they threatened to chop that guy's hands off with a saw, and they've got him in the back room. When they got the dude's head in a vice. I like that one too. Have you heard from MLD lately? Yeah, I talked to him just on Twitter just the other day. Have you played Proteus? Yes, Proteus is great. If you like those boomer shooters, as they call them now. Underrated crime film. L.A. Confidential. With Danny DeVito and Russell Crowe. The guy from Memento, whose name I can't remember. He was also the bad guy in The Count of Monte Cristo. Yeah, L.A. Confidential. I like that one a lot. Favorite Alfred Hitchcock film? Rear Window. Here's a funny bit of trivia for you. I already told this to Eighth, so it's nothing new to him. Do you know what Alfred Hitchcock's favorite movie was? No shit. Smokey and the Bandit. I'm serious. Smokey and the Bandit was his favorite movie. And There are people that have been interviewed who talked to him about it, and the basic gist of it was I don't understand why I enjoy it, and it intrigues me that I do enjoy it as much as I do, but I can't explain why I enjoy it. So to him, it was like a mystery. Why do I like this so much? But yeah, favorite movie. Hi, Master Chief. Favorite scene in the movie Scarface. This is going to piss some people off that haven't heard me say this before, Tokes, but I don't like Scarface. I don't like it. I don't like Al Pacino's performance, and that not the acting performance, but his accent, because he doesn't do a convincing Cuban accent to me. So every time he speaks, I'm like, I just don't like it. I mean, it's got some great lines in it. It's got some great action in it. His acting is fine, but that's not the first time he's done an accent similar to that, or not the only time, I should say. He used basically more or less that same accent in Carlito's Way, I think it was, and I didn't like his accent in that one either. He just doesn't convincingly pull that accent off. I'm sorry. Have you played Warhammer 40k Bolt Gun? Yeah. I don't like it quite as well as Proteus, but I do like it. Would you be interested in Uncharted 5? Yeah, it depends on who's making it. If it's Neil Druckmann, then no thank you. Have you played Ultra Kill? I don't know if I've played that or not. 7th, would you and 8th ever stay at a nice house in the Redwoods? And would you both like to go fishing? Must be nice out there, minus the mosquitoes. A nice house in the Where's the Redwoods? Is that out in California? Yeah. I don't know that we'd want to spend the time and money to go all the way out to California right now. Certainly wouldn't do it to go fishing. I don't think 8th has any interest in going fishing. I mainly only went... Yeah, Guy Pearce. I mainly only went fishing because it was something I could do with my dad. And, once my dad passed away, I haven't been fishing since. I don't care anything about seeing the Gran Turismo movie. Did you ever get into the Tony Hawk games or the Skate series? I had Tony Hawk on Dreamcast, but I never got super big into them. I mainly liked them for the soundtrack more than anything else. I know it did well, but I never hear anyone talk about Gangs of New York. I like Gangs of New York, but I like it a lot. It's one of my favorite Scorsese movies, but it's not technically a gangster film. It's a gangs film from a different era, before the Cosa Nostra took over New York. So, it's a different vibe, different era, but I really like it all the same. Most overrated movie. Titanic. There are things about Titanic that I absolutely love, but turning it into a romance film to get the women to come see it, I would have just rather had a straightforward disaster flick about Titanic than looping this whole romance story that didn't actually happen into the plot. Thoughts on the movie Renfield? Me and 8th went and saw it at the theater. We had a good time. I haven't played Ultra Kill. Okay. Would you get into a submarine to check out the Titanic for $1 million? Hell no. Would you say Sony best two devs is Sucker Punch and Insomniac? Right now, yeah, absolutely. Have you ever played Age of Wonders? It's not ringing a bell. It's not ringing a bell, Tokes. Check out Mandragora gameplay. It has a Symphony of the Night vibe. And another $2 from Living legend. Thank you, sir, for another $2. Mandragora. Okay. Mandragora. I'll look that up later. Are you going to see Killers of the Flower Moon? I haven't heard of that one either. If what you said last week was true about Druckmann costing us Uncharted 5 and 6 was true, that pissed me off. I love those games and want the story to be completed. I would rather it stay the way it is now than for Druckmann to be involved in any way in another Uncharted game. I'm just saying. Who are the last great remaining movie makers right now? Hell, I don't know, man. Christopher Nolan. Yeah, I can't say Spielberg because, man, The Fabelmans was terrible. Holy crap, that movie was awful. He's really fallen off, in my opinion, in the last few years. I mean, I liked Ready Player One, but honestly, it was mainly for the nostalgia. I've gone back and tried to rewatch it, and, you know, there's nothing in that movie that says Spielberg. Have you heard the theory that Jack in Titanic is a time traveler? Yes, and it's just as dumb as 90% of the other stupid theories that you find on the internet. 7th, which post-apocalyptic TV show do you like better? The Last of Us or The Walking Dead? I hate both of those. Thank you, Master Chief. I think you skipped my question. What's your ratio between playing video games, watching stuff on streaming, and going on social sites? Well, lately I haven't been playing video games that much, so I'd probably say 60% streaming, 30% video games, and 10% social media shit. Is Xbox going to be able to buy enough to oust PlayStation from the industry? Yeah, well, they have the money to do it, I guess. Question is, will they actually do it? That card hasn't been played yet. Yeah, I watched Twin Peaks back in the day. I haven't watched the newest season, but I watched the original and the Firewalk movie, Firewalk with Me or whatever. Flower Moon is the new Scorsese movie. What's it about? I haven't heard anything about it. Sounds kooky. The theory I like is Hal from Malcolm in the Middle leaving his family to become his character in Breaking Bad. Okay. I don't know about that. What's the best and worst Stephen King movie adaptation? Best would be for me would be a three-way tie between Christine, It Chapter 1, and The Shining, even though it's not an accurate adaptation. Worst for me would be The Lawnmower Man, because it's not an adaptation at all, except for one line of the script where they talk about how they found parts of him in the bird bath. That's the only line from the actual short story. Back when you did Console Wars, who was the dumbest Xbox fanboy? I don't remember his name, and I hate to say this. But there was a pro Xbox guy who was actually, he was differently abled, and he was visually differently abled. Like, he had I don't remember the name of the condition, but he had this giant oversized head, and he had a speech impediment, and we just kind of tried to steer clear of him and didn't really make response videos to him because we would all have felt guilty about it. I mean, I imagine Humpmaster Flex would have made a video about him no matter what, but somehow he never ended up on Humpmaster's radar. But I don't remember his name. Why does Garfield hate Mondays despite not having a job? I don't know. Maybe John takes out his Monday angst out on Garfield. Maybe that's why. I don't know. Would Naughty Dog be better if Neil retired? Everything would be better if Neil retired. Best headcanon you or 8 thought of with either movie, game, music, or television. I don't get into the whole headcanon thing. Not really. Yeah, I've done a couple of things where it's like the movie would have been better if they'd done this instead, but I couldn't tell you from memory what that was. 7th, I met the dwarf of Twin Peaks in '97 in Hollywood. He was cool and was dancing and rapping. That reminds me, Tokes, have you ever seen Joe Pesci's rap video? Yeah, Joe Pesci from Goodfellas. He did a literal gangster rap because it was about being a mafioso gangster. And it's on YouTube. If you've never seen it, you should go watch it. It's hilarious. Collected G. Oh, wait a minute. There was someone above you. Black Metal Gamer. Should PSVR 2 have a new reboot of PS Home? Yes, absolutely yes. I've been saying they should bring back Home for a while now. Hey, 7th, longtime viewer, finally able to join in on one of your streams. Welcome aboard. Have you played Bomb Rush Cyberpunk? It's incredible so far. What's it on? I have not played that. What system is it on? Have you seen the TV miniseries version of The Shining? Yes. There were some things I liked about it because it was truer to the book, but there were some things I really didn't like about it, like the kid that played Danny. I could not stand looking at him because he spends the whole movie with this, I don't know how else to say it, fish stuck in the headlights look. His lips are like this through the whole damn movie. And it just annoys the shit out of me. He looks like he was like doing that thing from The Grinch where you stick your lips up against a window and they had to pry him off of that window and his lips were stuck that way. Annoyed the crap out of me. Flower Moon is about when they found oil under the native tribe of I don't know how to pronounce that, and then a ton of them were murdered. Oh, okay, I'll give it a shot when and if I can watch it for free. In Insomniac's Marvel Spider-Man 2, the voice of Venom was Tony Todd, who played Candy. Yeah, I know. Who would you rather be in a jail cell with, Darkseid Phil or Cyrax? Darkseid Phil, because Darkseid Phil ain't going to try to pull shit. Cyrax might be crazy enough to try something. He wouldn't succeed, but he'd at least try something. No, it's not Down syndrome, Chris. This was an actual physical deformity where he had this huge bulbous head. Almost to the point of like the aliens in that episode of South Park where their entire language is made up of the word Marklar. That's how big it was, just ginormous. And I'm not saying that to be mean. There's just no other way to describe it. Encephalus something or other. Just huge head. What NES games do you find the most replayable? The platformers, really. Bionic Commando, Ninja Gaiden, Mega Man, Mario 3. Did you watch the Twisted Metal show? No, I did not. No, I did not, because I don't have Peacock and I don't intend to pay for Peacock. No, I'm not talking about Reston. I barely even remember Reston. I know the name, but I can't remember what he looked like or what his content was like. This was not Reston. This guy, I don't know. By the way, Kona Squid, do you have a Twitter? If you do, find my account and DM me. I got a question for you later, off camera. Neil Druckmann needs to just become a Hollywood director and leave gaming alone. I would agree. Has Neil Druckmann done anything you liked? No. Not at all. No, never saw him rapping. I'm going to go watch it. Yeah, go check it out. It's funny. 7th, you and 8 should do a headcanon for the Star Wars franchise. That franchise is all over the place right now. For me, I find headcanon to mostly to be a waste of time, Ultra Steel, because nothing ever comes of it. To me, that's not that much different from like shipping, but without all the kooky sex stuff in it. So, I don't really get into the whole headcanon thing. Home was fun. Well, you had to find your fun in it, but fun could be found if you knew where to look for it. You gotta save one, Neil Druckmann or that French guy. Well, not knowing who that French guy is, it's hard to say, but I would say probably that French guy. I'm not sure. I might just send them both over the cliff. I don't know. If you were in prison for life and had one console with an Everdraft cart with all the games, what are you picking as your pastime hobby? Probably Super Nintendo, simply because there's a lot of Super Nintendo games out there that I've never played. I had a Super Nintendo back in the day, but I was more of a Genesis guy. So I only had maybe 20 NES carts at any one time that were just the must-haves, like Turtles in Time, Super Castlevania 4, Super Contra 3, Legend of Zelda, the diehards, the mainstays. But there's a lot of stuff out for that system that I've never played, so I'd probably pick that one. I've played all sorts of Genesis games. It's on PC, Switch right now, but it's supposed to be ported to PS5. It's basically Jet Set Radio with better controls and an open world. Would you ever consider doing console war videos again? The Xbots are getting a little too bold right now. Probably not, man, because the platform isn't geared towards it anymore. If I went after a particular Xbot on YouTube, more than likely the outcome would be that what his little fan base, whatever size it may or may not be, would come and flag me for bullying, and it'd kill my channel. So, it was a different era, and it's not really possible now. Not in the way that we did it. I mean, you can go on like Porter Rock and make a couple of jokes about somebody and counterpoints and whatnot, but you can't do what we did and still get away with it. Porter Rock's cool. I like Porter Rock. But what he does is totally different thing than what we did back in the day. Totally different thing. Have you seen the new Hulk versus Superman video on YouTube yet? Probably not. I saw one a few years ago, but that was about it. 7th, what's your favorite Spider-Man game? Spider-Man for PlayStation. I liked Spider-Man 2 on PS2, and I liked Spider-Man on the Dreamcast okay, but I think overall Sony's kind of knocked it out of the park in that regard. Well, Insomniac has. $1 from Black Metal Gamer. Thank you, sir. Just put that on my little chart here. $1 from Heavy Metal Gamer. So that puts us up to $18 so far. Thank you guys. $18. which that puts us up to $96. So we're almost 1/3 of the way there. 300 is the goal. Got to get there by the Saturday before September 16th. What would you call the new Nintendo console hybrid coming soon? The Nintendo maybe? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not going to be in any rush to get it. I'm sure 8th will rush out and get one, but I'm not in any rush to own one. See you later, Master Chief. I didn't even notice that he said something he shouldn't say, 8th. I didn't see what he said. You'll have to let me know what he said later. If they made a Series X Pro or a PS5 Pro, are you getting them or taking a nose? I'll probably get the PS5 Pro. I don't know that I would get a Series X Pro. Yes, I've seen American Gothic way back in the day. Who was the dumbest member of the Trey Brotherhood? Is it safe to say it was Truth? No, Truth was actually a pretty smart guy. He was just someone that took it way super serious. Dumbest guy in the Trey Brotherhood was probably Digital Smoke. First prize winner. First person shooter player. Maybe the best around. Who knows? He was probably the dumbest. Well, I don't know. There was a guy that was a friend of Infinite Retros. And I can't remember his name now, but he literally looked like a hobo. And he would sit in front of a door. And half the time, the stuff that he said, it wasn't even a coherent sentence. So maybe that guy, but I don't remember his name. He was also Australian, like Infinite Retro. Now, Infinite Retro is a smart dude, but some of the people that, he had as friends on there, not so much. Well, not friends at, friends at the time. Eventually, he wasn't friends with any of them. Because some of them, like Hooge, ended up being not right up here. Another $2 from DeVito. I don't know how else to pronounce that, but thank you, sir. I'll add that on there. Another $2. Thank you. Thank you much. Thank you much. Keeping track. Skipped my question. I did? No, I answered it. American Gothic. Yes, I've seen it. I didn't think it was anything like super fantastic or anything, but as far as like slasher type movies of that era, it was okay. Why ain't that working? Hang on a second, I gotta check something real quick. Whoa. My phone is lagging bad for some reason. Something funky going on with my phone, y'all. Oh, okay. Yeah, I understand why he said he shouldn't say stuff like that. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. Let's see here. What was your least favorite Disney live action remake? All of them. I don't particularly like any of them. I was kind of enjoying The Jungle Book. And then here come Christopher Walken as King Louie, and I was like, oh. No. But no, I haven't really enjoyed any of them at all. Well, I kind of liked the live action 101 Dalmatians with Glenn Close, but that was way, way back. That was a long time ago. That wasn't even part of this current era. You know what I'm saying? Why do people seem to fawn all over Xbox executives so much? I have no idea. I have, you know, I don't do that with Sony executives. So I don't get it. I don't get it. Which virtue signaling video was cringy? Imagine, or I don't know what you're talking about there, Chris. I don't think I've watched either of whatever those are. What obscure Capcom IP should make a return? Asura's Wrath, published by Capcom. I'd like an Asura's Wrath too. Have you ever seen the 80s movie Spellbinder? I want to say I have, but I might be confusing it with one of like a million witchcraft Ouija board movies from that era. I'll tell you one to check out though, Tokes. There was a movie that was made by HBO, and it's still on HBO right now, that was kind of a 50s noir detective mixed with mafia mixed with horror stuff movie. And it starred, what was that actor's name? Fred something or other. He was Remo Williams. He was Kevin Bacon's friend in the first Tremors movie. And it's called Cast a Deadly Spell. If you've never watched it, you might like it. Check it out. Good night, 7th. The wife wants to watch My Cousin Vinny. Have fun. Thoughts on Final Fantasy 16? Good open world action RPG. Not a great Final Fantasy game. I liked it for what it was, but I didn't like it as a Final Fantasy game. With the remake of Metal Gear Solid 3 and re-releasing their old IPs, do you think Konami has redeemed themselves? No. It's my understanding that none of this stuff that's coming out is in-house. They're hiring other companies to develop the stuff for them. Have you watched Squid Games? Yes, I watched it. What 80s TV show did you hate with a passion? I hated MASH. A bunch. Like, I couldn't stand Full House. Hated Full House. Hated Family Matters. Hated Perfect Strangers. Any like comedy that was like focused on where it started, and the one exception to this is Happy Days, but where it started out as one type of show, and then they found out that one of their little side characters was really popular, so they made it all about them. Can't stand that. And I know they did that with Fonzie and Happy Days, but everyone after that, can't stand it. Favorite mythological creature? Cthulhu. 7th, did you know that John Hughes wrote the script for that 101 Dalmatians movie? Makes sense. No. Yeah, Fred Ward. 8th. Oh, that's the 8th. Never mind. Cast a Deadly Spell. Yes. With Fred Ward. It's on HBO Max. Or just Max now. Top 3 TMNT beat-em-ups. Well, there hasn't really been that many if you think about it. I would say Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time, and Shredder's Revenge. If Konami sold Castlevania, what game dev would you want to cater the gothic baby of greatness? FromSoft. Even though 8th disagrees with me, they kind of already do it, but... Thoughts on Warcraft 3? I liked Warcraft when it was a strategy game like that. When it became World of Warcraft, I lost all interest. So yeah, Warcraft 3 was pretty good. I liked it. I even liked some of the rip-offs, Like, I used to have one that was basically a rip-off of Warcraft 2, but it was with the Lord of the Rings license, and it was called War of the Rings. I even liked that one. That one was fun. When do you think The Simpsons should have ended? After season 7. Season 7 is where it should have ended. Would you like the concept of Eternal Darkness as a game for PSVR 2? Hard to say. I've never played PSVR 2. Only 8th has played it because it's in his room. 7th, I think Tony Todd would make a great Freddy Krueger. I don't know. I don't know about that one. Not from a race perspective, but just that, the humor of it. I don't know if Tony Todd would be able to replicate England's humor. Thoughts on Freedom Planet. Is that one that's like an indie version of Sonic? I've played it once or twice. I didn't think it was bad. I didn't think it was great. Favorite 3 toppings and crust style on pizza. I like thin crust with pepperoni, ground beef, and bacon. In other words, I like a meat lovers. Meat lovers pizza. And by thin crust, I mean either crispy thin crust or New York style. My favorite type of pizza is New York style. I love New York style. I think, Chris, that 8th is a little bit burnt out on pizza to some degree because there was a period for a while there, especially during the pandemic, where we were ordering pizza all the time. We had ordered from Domino's or we had ordered from Pizza Hut. Never really ordered from Papa John's. That or we'd drive out to Nikki's Pizza, which they do New York style, and we'd get some of that. Well, it's New York style, but with kind of a Greek flair. It's good. It's good stuff. What's the worst 2D and 3D Sonic game? I didn't like Sonic the Hedgehog 4. That'd be the worst 2D one, I think. Worst 3D one? One of those ones that came out for the Wii. I even hated them more than Sonic 06. I mean, mainly Sonic 06, but, I also hated Sonic and the Black Knight and Sonic and the Secret of the Rings or whatever it was called. I hated those too. I highly doubt we'll ever get Infamous 3. I mean, I'm not going to say never, but... Have you ever had chili cheese fries with pastrami? No. I've had lots of chili cheese fries, but not with pastrami. Seventh, do you like Indy 5? No, it was terrible. It was absolutely horrible. Didn't like it at all. Who wants to see an indie film where the majority of it is a crippled old man being led around by a woman? I'm just saying. That's what most of the movie is. They made him old and weak and bitter. Kind of like what they did with Luke in The Last Jedi, but even worse. Have you ever had Pizza Patron? Or Pizza Patron? I used to call it Pizza Patron because you'd need a bottle of it to get the taste of cardboard and whatnot. I have no idea what you're talking about. Never heard of that. Never heard of that. Since we moved here, we've had Nikki's and, of course, Pizza Hut, Domino's. We've also had Marco's, which I actually liked Marco's. Marco's was pretty good. I think they're too pricey for what you get, but they're pretty good. I don't think that Pizza Hut tastes as good as it did when I was a kid, though. Pizza Hut was awesome when I was a kid, and it wasn't considered fast food. It was a sit-down restaurant. We considered it a special occasion to go to Pizza Hut when I was a kid. And now all of that is gone. And the quality of it is just kind of gone. Seventh, did you like the arcade game Bad Dudes? It was okay. It wasn't one of my favorites because it was a beat 'em up, but there was no moving up and down in the foreground or the background. It was straight horizontal. And so that kind of limited it compared to other games like Final Fight, Double Dragon. I mean, even Double Dragon, you could move up and down in the foreground and background, but for some reason, Bad Dudes is just horizontal. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me to hear that Data East RoboCop game was built on like an improved version of the Bad Dudes engine. Wouldn't surprise me at all. Have you met a New Yorker before? Yeah, I know lots of New Yorkers. I know lots of them. Remember, I work for an international conglomerate. We have offices all over the place. And New York is no exception. New York, New Jersey, all up the East Coast, South, West. I don't think we have any offices in California, but we've got them in Washington State and Oregon. And all over Europe. Haven't really tapped the Asian market yet. But, Japan and whatnot are pretty xenophobic about such things. No, I have not watched the Little Mermaid remake, and I have no interest in watching it. Do you think Texas barbecue is amazing? Absolutely. Me and Nate's favorite place so far is J&J's. There's a chain down here called Smoky Moe's that's so-so, but our favorite so far is J&J's. Yet they shouldn't have even made Crystal Skull Ultra Steel. They should have stopped at the third one. It was the perfect end to the trilogy. Yeah, I agree with Chris. Do you think the third movie of a trilogy is cursed and seldom has good? Not always. I think, yeah, J&J's is good, but most of the barbecue places we've been to haven't been that great. So I think it's really just a matter that we haven't been to the right ones yet. I think that's the real gist. Because believe it or not, I mean, me and Eighth have been here 6 years. We haven't really done that much exploring in that regard because allegedly most of the best restaurants in my area are in downtown, and I tend to avoid downtown. I don't like driving around in downtown areas. I didn't even like doing it when I lived outside of Chattanooga. I never liked going downtown. And honestly, I think the reason why was because of all the ride-alongs I did with my dad when I was a kid. Because when I was with ride-alongs with my dad, all I saw was, people getting shot and robberies and carjackings and all this stuff. And so I just tend to avoid downtown. I just stay away. I kind of like my wider open spaces, where I have a better chance of seeing something coming. You know what I'm saying? Thoughts on El Shaddai? I didn't care for the art style of it, but as a Devil May Cry style action game, it was pretty good. Wish I hadn't sold my copy, though. It's getting on up there now. Seventh, is there a game that you really want to enjoy, but you just can't get into it? For me, it's Assassin's Creed. Oh. The Soul genre. I'd love to be able to say that, I sink my teeth into the Soul genre and I love it. But I don't. And it's not from a difficulty standpoint. It's just that for me, that the gameplay of those feels slow and tedious compared to the other stuff that I play. And so they don't grab my attention, I guess, because of the style of the gameplay. Now that's just my interpretation. I know it sounds silly to say that when I could watch 8th, beat Dark Souls in just a matter of minutes because he knows how to do it. But for me, the combat and everything feels slower than the style I'm used to. And so, I've made numerous attempts to try to get into the Souls-like genre, and I end up setting them down every time. And it's not out of difficulty, it's just out of just feeling like I'm not having a good time. No, I probably won't watch Blue Beetle. Well, I mean, if it hits HBO, I'll watch it, but I'm not going to the theater to see it. Yeah, Scared Straight for real is right. I mean, he even took me into Gen Pop and pushed me up towards the bars where I was just far enough away where they wouldn't be able to reach out of the bars and grab me. Because he wanted to see where I'd end up if I, didn't walk the straight and narrow. Longhorn steak is all right, but used to we would go to Logan's? We go to Logan's. And Logan's went out of business here. So now Longhorn is the only steakhouse around. I mean, we went to this one that was called Texas Cattle something down by the mall. It was terrible, wasn't it, 8th? That place sucked. And it was overpriced. What's your favorite survival horror game? Honestly, probably Carrier on Dreamcast. I really liked Carrier for some reason. In general, I don't really like survival horror that much, but for whatever reason, I got pretty into Carrier. I liked it. Otherwise, the closest thing to survival horror that I really got into would be Dead Space. And no, I haven't bought the remake yet. I'm saving for Retropalooza, guys. I was serious about that. See you, Chris G. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate you. Keep the questions coming, everybody. Wow, 33. 33 today. Nice. Maybe being consistent has brought some of my viewers back. That would be very nice. Thank you. Let's see here. 7th, I have a Nintendo Switch V2. Should I upgrade to the OLED or keep what I got? I haven't actually used the OLED, but 8th has, so that would probably be a question for 8th. 8th, should Tokes upgrade to the OLED or just keep what he has? Let Tokes know. Thoughts on plumbers don't wear ties getting a... All right, folks, that's it. That's the end of everything. Pack it up. The apocalypse is coming. We had a good run, but if society has gotten to the point where plumbers don't wear ties is getting a remaster, we're the Roman Empire, man. It's all going downhill from there. Just cash in your chips now while you still can. Go find a cave and wait it out. Farb, no offense, but I'm not listing the bazillion 2D Mario platformers for best or worst. I thought all we needed to do with our original Switch 8th was just buy new Joy-Cons for it. Is there something else going on with it that I wasn't aware of? Did questions disappear on you at 8:54? I don't know. I've still got a clear view of my chat window. Why? Are you saying that I skipped a question again? Do you like the title for Final Fantasy 16 as The Devil's Fantasy May Cry Finally? Doesn't exactly roll off the tongue, but it's probably more accurate. Oh, it's LR. It's limited run. Well, that explains everything. I don't know. I think limited run has figured out that most of their clientele are buying them just because of the potential rarity, not because they actually want to play them. Because they've been putting out stuff where I'm like, why? Like the re-release of Bill and Ted from NES. Everyone universally hated that game. Why did that need a re-release? It was just for collectors. You know, why don't they re-release that one I mentioned earlier, the God of War clone with the black guy and that for Marlo Briggs or whatever? Why don't they re-release that? It never even got a physical release to begin with, and it's a fun game. Why are we getting a remaster of Plumbers Don't Wear Ties? No one wants that shit, aside from collectors who think it'll be rare. My dad was a cop too, took us on ride-alongs inside the cells, the old school F around and find. Exactly, Chris. I used to hang around with the cops and the firemen. That was my group. And let me tell you something. In some ways, what without all the crime and the murder and the drugs and all that, there was when you watch stuff like Goodfellas, there's some level of that kind of like hang around camaraderie with the cops and the firemen too. It kind of had that feeling of hanging around with a, an inside tight-knit group type thing. And that's where I spent a lot of my childhood, was hanging out at the police service center and hanging out at the fire hall. It was fun, man. It was fun. I miss it. 7th, have you ever played Kid Nicky? Yes, I have Kid Nicky. The console is warped from the heat it produced on the dock. Ah, it's bent. Okay. I think in terms of Souls games, it's just down to taste. I'm not huge on DMC outside of DMC 5, and I've only beaten the new God of War games, but Souls just clicks more for me. Also, I grew up with it. Right. In my era, there wasn't Souls-likes. There was roguelikes. And roguelikes, Souls-likes have elements of roguelikes, but they don't play like roguelikes. They didn't have Souls-likes when I was a kid. I mean, they had hard games where, you had dedicated save spots, and if you died, you lost all the progress you'd made since the last time you went to one of those save spots. So, it had that in common with the Souls genre. Stuff like, Metroid and Symphony of the Night, stuff like that. But they were 2D, so there was the gameplay of the combat was a lot different. Would you rather play Plumbers Don't Wear Ties or Hannah Montana? I'd rather stick my head in a gas oven and light a match. I don't really want to play either one of those. I've already platted one. Once was enough. I'll never touch that game again. The minute I finished that video, I took that game to GameStop and sold it, and they gave me 50 cents, and I was glad to have it. How about the best 2D Mario platformers from the S and the NES? Mario 3, Super Mario World. Is it me, or do companies nowadays choose a flat and boring design over a more creative one than back in the day? I think they reuse a lot of assets to save money, and they just tinker around with the assets a little bit. Honestly. Plus, nowadays a new IP, very rare thing. It's all about the safe bet. Same with movies these days. That's why you get mostly sequels, because people are afraid to take risks. Most of the risks happen in indie gaming, just like most of the risks happen in indie movies nowadays. Thoughts on the film Dude, Where's My Car? It was a less funny Dumb and Dumber. Eddie Van Halen or Bon Jovi? Eddie Van Halen. Bon Jovi could sing, but he's lost his voice and now he sucks. When Eddie died, he still could play guitar as good as the first day you ever heard him on the radio. Better, even. Eddie improved. John Bon Jovi did not. You weren't fazed when someone was shot. Well, obviously I was affected by seeing it. I saw my first corpse outside being in a casket in a funeral home with my dad. I've told that story before, where they got a report of a bad smell out behind this neighborhood, and we went walking out there, and some homeless lady had crawled up under the bushes to stay warm while she slept, and she died there. And she'd been out there for a few days. You know what I'm saying? She had critters living in her eye sockets. And that's something you carry with you the rest of your life once you see it. That's probably why I was so desensitized to horror movies, because I've seen some real shit up close and personal. Thoughts on Alex Kidd and Miracle World DX? I never was a big fan of the Alex Kidd series, to be honest with you. Seventh, on the NES, what game had you hooked to where you played that game all day in an early morning? The first time that happened for me, Tokes, was Rygar. The first time I ever played an NES, it was, again, my cousins. You've heard me talk about how, my cousin's dad, my uncle, was a fire captain or fire chief, and so he made more money than my dad, and so they always got the newest console first, and then I would get their hand-me-downs when they upgraded. But with the NES, they brought their NES over to the house, and they let me borrow it overnight. And I played, out of all the games they had Super Mario Brothers, Ghosts and Goblins, Rygar, and something else. I can't remember what the other one was. I played Rygar all night long, and I beat it. It was the first NES game I ever beat on my own. And I liked playing their NES so much that I cut grass all summer to raise enough money to go buy my own NES. And so while we were in Atlanta for my dad to do a gun show, I went to the mall out in Zion, a Peachtree Mall or whatever the heck it's called. I remember when I was a kid, you'd walk into this central courtyard area inside the mall, and they had this big giant steel ball with a pointed tip that was resting just barely on this platform underneath it, held by a chain that was like 60 feet up in the air. And so it was just like this big colossal art piece. It's not there anymore, but that was the mall that I always went to when I was in Atlanta, because it was right up the street from where my aunt and uncle lived. And I went in there to the KB Toys, and that's where I bought my first NES. Actually, my only NES until the NESs I have now, because my NES never broke. I never had to replace it. It was still working. But anyway. Which do you think was harder, 2D Mario or 2D Sonic? I didn't find either of them all that difficult back in the day. Seventh, how's your friend Jeff doing? Haven't heard from him in a while. He's super busy. He works full time. He has his own recording studio. He has a band. He's, putting the finishing touches on his next album. So, he doesn't come around that much. He's a bitty dude. Every so often I'll call him just to check in with him and we'll talk for a little bit, but that's about it. Do you think rock music will ever be popular again? It is popular. It just, doesn't show up on the charts because, people listen to it on Spotify and listen to it on YouTube instead of buying albums these days. But it's still popular. Rock, hard rock, 80s style hair metal. Any kind of that type of music that you want, it's out there. New bands all the time. One of my favorite, more recent ones is a band from overseas. I think they're from either Sweden or Norway called Hardcore Superstar. Love that band. Thoughts on Fallout 4? It was okay, but the little town building crap is a total waste of time. There's no reason for it. It doesn't add anything to the gameplay. Should have cut that out and just done a straightforward sequel. Do you think rock music... I already answered that. Favorite B-52 song? Never was into the B-52s. Thoughts on Persona 5? It's a good game. It's a good JRPG. I'm not as big into Persona as I am into other things because I'm not as into like the social aspect of it. Your daily life stuff that you have to go do. I find that kind of stuff boring. But otherwise, I like Persona, but I don't like it as well as, say, Dragon Quest. Oh, it's 8 o'clock. One hour remaining, folks. 1 hour remaining. And we're at what? We are at exactly $20 for the evening in donations. $20. Seventh, have I ever asked you if you'd ever played Vampire Masquerade? Yeah, I don't know if you asked me. Someone else asked me, and no, I haven't played it. Thoughts on the band Nightwish? I don't think I've watched that and listened to that band. What's your opinion of Indiana Jones and the Emperor's Tomb, and do you think it's underrated? Emperor's Tomb. Was that the one that was on PS2? It was kind of a Tomb Raider knockoff? Like a 3D third-person thing. Was that Emperor's Tomb? It was okay. Wasn't great. Who's your favorite video game antagonist? Like villain? Probably either Ganon or Sephiroth. Are you a tango or a cha-cha man? I don't dance, Chris. I am not a dancer. What was the weirdest anime you've ever seen? Bible Black. Don't even have to think about it. Bible Black. Which was basically like an X-rated take on a Rokusukadoji. Bible Black. I only managed to last about 10 minutes into the first episode. I was watching the episode, and it started out like kind of like your typical Japanese high school show, and then a girl went into the nurse's office, and the nurse turned into a demon and grew a male appendage, let's just say, and did things to the girl. And I was like, and it was actually showing it, and like full X-rated, showing it all. And I was like, nope. I turned it off. Are you going to go see Equalizer 3? Probably not. I'll wait for it to hit streaming. I love those movies, but it has to be a big must-see event for me to go to the theaters these days. Favorite console exclusive? It's hard to say. Because think about it. Back in the NES days, almost everything on it was exclusive. Hard to say. Yeah, I would not recommend that anyone try to watch Bible Black. You won't find it on any streaming service. You'd have to download it, and somebody sent me an episode of it. A friend of mine sent me the episode because they wanted to know what I think. And I got 10 minutes in, and I was like, no. No, thank you. No. So don't go looking for it. You'll have regrets. Oh, good Lord. Thoughts on the No More Heroes games? Never really got into them, to be honest with you, Collected G. Never really got into them that much. What was your favorite video game console era? Honestly, probably the 8 and 16-bit era. So many fun games. But I do have a fondness for the late 90s, particularly 1999. 1999 was a really good year for me. I had a lot of fun that year. I don't know, I was just really out enjoying life in 1999. It's like every weekend of that summer, big blockbuster movie coming out. Had to go see it. So I was at the theater every weekend. I was going to clubs. I was living in Florida. I had my own apartment. Came and went as I pleased. I had 2 jobs, a full-time job in IT and a part-time job at Blockbuster that gave me free movies and was funding my retro collecting. Yeah, I was going to swap meets and garage sales, flea markets. Had 3 retro stores like just within minutes of me. 15 minutes from the beach. Nice, quiet, clean apartment. Swimming pool right outside my door. And I'd go on road trips. I had season pass to Disney as a Florida resident. So I was going to Disney all the time. I'd hop in my Camaro and hit 75 south, going over 100 miles an hour, get to Disney, spend the weekend there, come back. 99 was a great year. No, Bible Black is not a game, it's an anime. What's worse, the DMC reboot or Ninja Gaiden 3? Ninja Gaiden 3. Thoughts on Outer World? Outer World. Was that Fallout style game from Obsidian? Or is that a different game? Seventh, if you hit the lottery, what's next? Retirement. That's it, just retirement. If I was to hit the lottery, I'm not one of these guys that, well, I think I'll keep my job. No. I'm done. I'm done. I would never work a day in my life again if I hit the lottery. I'd pay off all my debts, buy a decent house, put half of what was left in an interest earning, like a Roth IRA or something, so I could live off the interest and the dividends, and just enough cash in hand to where my bills were always paid, and I'd never work another day in my life. I'd set me up and I'd set my son up, and then, probably just live in Eight's pool house, or get me an RV and just drive across the country till my heart stopped, and they found me in some RV park somewhere, like up in Yosemite or some shit. I'm serious. Who I am as a person is not defined by my job. My job is just my job. My work ethic is important to me at my job, but my job is not what defines me. I don't, I need to work to pay bills. I don't need to work for some sense of self-worth. So yeah, if I won the lottery, first thing I'd do is put in my notice and never hire on anywhere else again. Never again. Did you ever play Mass Effect? I thought I saw a video with Andromeda. I reviewed Andromeda. I beat Mass Effect 1 and 2. I never finished 3 because I wasn't liking it. I beat Andromeda, but I hated it. Thoughts on the Blaster Master Zero games? I own all 3. I think they're great. No, you don't have to have played any of the previous ones. Bryan Adams, Summer of 69. I know that song quite well. 7th, if you could make a part 2 of a game that they never made a sequel to, which games would you choose? Legend of Dragoon, Asura's Wrath, Brave Fencer Musashi. There was a Musashi game on PS2, but it wasn't a sequel to Brave Fencer. It was something totally different. Thoughts on Katana Zero? Don't know what that is. I'd show up to work with a boombox over my head playing Celebrate Good Times if I won the lottery, and then announce that I quit. I wouldn't do that because I like my coworkers. I'm friends with everybody where I work. And I've cultivated that over the last 11 years now. In fact, it'll be 11 years tomorrow. Tomorrow's my 11-year anniversary with my current employer. And so, I have too much friendship and respect for my coworkers to do them that way. One thing that I would do, Chris, I think, is I would build my own entertainment complex somewhere here in Texas. And it would be an arcade, a bowling alley, and a drive-in movie theater all at the same time. That's all in one complex. And I'd just call it 7th's Place. Oh, and it would have a retro gaming store in it too. If I was going to invest in a business, that's what I'd build. What do you rate Mass Effect 3 and why? I couldn't say for sure because I never finished it. What's your opinion on the Ben 10 franchise? It's after my time, man. I don't give a crap about it. Played a couple of the video games, wasn't impressed. Seventh, I just have one game sequel I would want made, and that was a sequel to Darkwatch. I remember Darkwatch. That was that one that was kind of a Western first-person shooter, yeah? Like a Western horror first-person shooter. I think it was published by Capcom or something. It's on PS2. If I'm thinking of the same thing. Thoughts on Bloodstained Ritual of the Night? Hey, it's Metroidvania. You know I like those. Thoughts on the Mega Man Zero games? When it comes to Mega Man, I only really like the mainline series. And even then, I don't really care for the new ones like Mega Man 11, 9, 10. I like Mega Man 1 through 8. That's pretty much it. Never cared for any of the 3D ones. Never cared for Mega Man X. Just never cared for those. I just like the mainline series. I'm old school like that. Didn't like Mega Man Legends either. I'm too set in my ways, gentlemen. I'm too set in my ways. In my day, we didn't even have any of these fancy schmancy moving pictures. When I was a kid, there was only one show in the whole town. It was called Stare at the Sun. You'd go out in an open field and stare at the sun until your eyeballs caught fire. That's the way it was, and we liked it. Guys, we got a half hour left. You got to come up with questions. Donations wouldn't hurt either. Oh! But you got to come up with some questions, guys. Chop, chop! Let's go! My content is reliant upon your content. Otherwise, you're just staring at an old fat guy who hasn't been to a barber in years. Come on. I have no idea what Druckmann's favorite anime is, Maxim, but I wouldn't put it past him on that one. I haven't played the Red Dead Redemption remaster. I'm not in any rush to. Is there any game with a beloved sequel that you thought was overrated compared to the original? Red Dead Redemption 2. Thoughts on the DuckTales remake from 2014? It was okay. It was alright. 7th, is there ever a horror game you ever played that scared you? Nope. Nope. Never got spooked by a horror game. Sorry. I'm just not wired that way, man. Did you retire from trophy hunting? No, I haven't been playing that much lately. I don't know why. I guess there's just nothing out there right now that really excites me and makes me want to rush out and play it. And on top of that, with me really being focused on saving up for Retropalooza, I would have liked to have had Diablo 4. I would have liked to have had Baldur's Gate 3. There's some other things I would have liked to have had. I haven't bought them, like the Dead Space remake. I haven't bought any of them because I'm trying to save money for Retropalooza, but unexpected shit keeps happening. 7th, are you a fan of J-horror? What are your favorites? Well, I like Ringu. I like Ju-on. Both me and 8th like House for very specific reasons. There was one that I can't remember the name of, but it was a found footage movie. That was pretty creepy. I can't remember the name of it, but I liked it. I haven't really delved too far after that one. I tried watching that movie that was about spirals, and I just couldn't get into it. It was taking too long to get to the nitty-gritty. I bet you could beat Shady J's trophy count. Last time I checked, I'd already beat Shady J's trophy count. I mean, I topped his trophy count like several years ago when I placed him a bet I mean, we didn't bet money or anything, but I told him that I felt I could top him out within like a certain number of months, and I did. So I think I'm ahead of him now. I'm not sure. I'd have to log into the PS5 to look. My level is 500 and something. I'm on up there. I've got 170 something plats, I think, at this point. Seventh, have you considered moving to Rumble or Odyssey? No, because yeah, there's less censorship, but there's also less audience. Eighth, I think the first ever God of, and plus, I can't watch those on console like I watch YouTube on PS5. Did you like the Catherine game? No, I did not like that one at all. Lars von Trier or Uwe Boll? I would say Uwe Boll because at least I liked his Rampage trilogy. I have yet to like anything that Lars von Trier's made. Have you seen Dark Water or the American remake? I haven't seen the original Japanese version. I've seen the American version. I have seen both the Japanese and American versions of Pulse. I think I like the Japanese one a little better, but they both were kind of meh. Thoughts on Kingdom Hearts 3? I was not impressed with it. Didn't do much for me. And too many of the levels were based on Pixar stuff. I know Twitch was a failure for you, but do you agree it has a better interface than YouTube? I don't know because I don't watch Twitch. I don't watch anybody on Twitch, so I couldn't tell you what the interface is like. I could only tell you what the creator interface was like. I'm only at like 7,900 trophies across all platforms, which I think is aight for not having. I want to say I'm somewhere around getting close to 14,000 trophies just on PlayStation alone, and I'm at like somewhere over 100,000 G on Xbox, but I can't remember exactly where. And of course, I don't really play on Steam enough for that to even count. Thoughts on Microsoft and the future of Xbox? It's hard to say now with the way things are going. Yeah, honestly, it's hard to say. The shock factor of the 2005 God of Wars. I mean, obviously with Microsoft, they want that all digital future and they want it bad. So it would not surprise me, honestly, either in the next coming gen or the gen after it, for them to abandon hardware production altogether and just become a streaming platform. Would not surprise me at all. Is it possible to unlock all PSN trophies? No, because there are some that are glitched out and unlockable. And there are some trophies out there where they were tied to multiplayer to earn them, and the multiplayer's been dead for years, so there's no way to unlock that trophy. So no, it's not possible to unlock all PSN trophies. Seventh, did you like Anger Management? Yes, it's not one of my favorite Sandler films, but I like it. Yeah, Microsoft is already doing that with Windows. They're doing it on the business side, but they're about to start doing it on the consumer side. It leaked out a while back that for you to be able to have Office and all that stuff, they're going to start wanting you to pay a subscription fee for it. Do you think Spec Ops should get a sequel? I didn't really care for Spec Ops. Can you rank the Borderlands games for me? 1, 2, 3. Actually, no. 2, 1, 3. I like 2 better than 1. 2 was my favorite. 7th, do you think the new final Five Nights at Freddy's movie should be under 2 hours? Yes. I heard it was going to be close to 3 hours. I think that's overkill for that premise. Before they shut down PSN, should they make all DLCs and add-ons free? You know that's not going to happen. What is your full review of AEW Fight Forever? I haven't played it, Tokes. I haven't been buying stuff, saving for Retropalooza, man. I've been saving since April, when I got back from the last one. I haven't been buying a whole lot as far as games go. I bought a couple like Tales of Reverie and Final Fantasy 16, but for the most part, I haven't been buying new games. See ya, N7. 28 minutes left, folks. 28 minutes left. Focus, camera. Come on, you can do it. Hello, camera. Why are you doing this to me, camera? Thank you. Hey. Come on, folks. Keep them coming. For all the people that don't bother to show up and watch me live, that are going to watch the replay later, we got to keep them entertained, you know. Get them views and likes up. That reminds me, has everybody hit the like button tonight? I forget to ask. I forget to ask. Worst controller for any system besides N64? Atari 5200. Don't even have to stop to think about that one. 5200, without question. Favorite victory fanfare from Final Fantasy 7. 7. Do you prefer Beavis and Butthead on the SNES or Genesis or the PC version? I've never played the PC. No, I've never played the PC version. Genesis. Thoughts on the Magic Mike franchise? Yeah, like I'm going to watch that, Jay. I've never seen any of them, so I couldn't tell you. 7. Thoughts on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise? I only like the first 2. Watch the second one. Never watch any of the others after that. Because Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is funny as hell. It's a horror comedy and I love it. Seen it a million times. Love it. I wonder if they'll make a Rage 3. I don't think the Rage 2 sold that well, so I kind of doubt it. 7th, do you think Nintendo will ever catch up to the graphical power of Xbox or PlayStation? No, because they don't care about that stuff anymore. They don't care about that stuff anymore. Think about it. How many of their first-party games do you play for the graphics? None. It's all about the gameplay. So they couldn't care less and never will. And here's the thing that I keep telling y'all, and some of y'all will fight me on it to the death. The Switch is not a console. It's a handheld that you plug into your TV. And nowadays, the Switch is underpowered even as a handheld. Nintendo doesn't care. They want to be able to put out a cheap system where people will buy their games for it, and that's it. They don't care about graphics. They want to pull you in with the gameplay. No, I wasn't looking forward to the Borderlands movie at all, Clean Frame. Thoughts on the G4 mess? You make it all about politics. Ain't going to sell. It wasn't going to sell anyway. Because YouTube replaced everything that G4 ever was. YouTube replaced it all. So it was never going to be some massive thing. It was never going to be popular like it was back in the day. But then they come on and start with the politics stuff. That killed it right then and there. What little hope they had was gone right then and there. Frost killed it. And they can try to say that it wasn't that. And yeah, they weren't doing great because it was superfluous. There was no need for it to be brought back. But Frost was the ultimate nail in the coffin for that G4 revival. What was the one review from AVGN you disagreed with? I can't think of any because, he mostly reviews crappy games, and I agree with... It's very rare for him to review a game that he actually likes. So I can't think of any that I've disagreed with him on. Is there a horror movie that makes you unconditionally every time you watch it? I think you left out a very important word in that sentence, Farb. You're not wrong, Squid. 7th Switch is handheld correct. A glitchy, stuttered handheld. Exactly. Frost could... Silent strip like... Yeah. I don't think you would have wanted to see that, though, Chris. Olivia, that's one thing. But Frost... I don't want to see that. Bad teeth, haircut that looked like the wig that Julia Roberts wore in Hook. No thanks. No thanks. She is not an attractive woman at all. $20 minutes left, folks. 20 minutes left. 7th, would you describe Tim Burton as goth? Kinda, yeah. What would you even define as goth? Well, it's certainly not Gothic King Cobra. It's not King Cobra JFS. He's a metalhead. I don't know why he thinks he's goth. He's not. He's a metalhead. I don't think he actually understands what goth really is. He's a metalhead. I find him interesting to watch. But, yeah, he's not really goth. He's a metalhead. Seventh, what's your favorite Leslie Nielsen movie? The Naked Gun trilogy. The Naked Gun trilogy. How do you feel about the Blair Witch and its sequels? I was not a big fan of Blair Witch. I thought it was a novelty when I saw the first one. And I saw it in the theater. The second one and the reboot were both terrible. So... Your favorite female superhero and villain? Female superhero, Wonder Woman. Villain? Poison Ivy. Favorite female director? I don't know. Honestly, unless it's something like a Scorsese film or a Spielberg film or a Nolan film, I don't really even pay attention to who's directing a movie. Thoughts on Inglourious Bastards? It's a very slow movie with a couple of good action sequences. It's not... I like it, but it's not my favorite... not my favorite film from him. Oh, wait a minute. Collected G donated $10 to the Streamlabs. I'm sorry you didn't get a pop-up for that, man. I'm not sure why. It's not working. Weird. $10. You're always innovating, never imitating. 5'8" has never been this great. You may be the oldest ride, but you still got the longest line. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Still true. Thank you, sir. Thanks for the $10. Let me add that on there. That puts us up to 30 for the day. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. That puts us up to $108. So we're $192 away from the goal. And we've only got a few 7th casts left to get there. But I appreciate everyone that's trying to help. Thoughts on the Flash movie? It was so. I mainly only liked it because of Michael Keaton. What's your favorite Batman animated movie? Oh. Probably Mask of the Phantasm. My favorite scene in Misery. You know what? I haven't watched that in a long time, so at this point, the only scene I really remember is the hobbling scene. Do you think Adam Warlock should have been in the MCU? Well, he is now, so we don't really have much of a choice in the matter, do we? Thoughts on the Justice League cartoon from the early 2000s? It was good. It was good. That Avengers show from the early 2000s was good too. It was a good show. Me and Eighth used to watch it together when he was a kid. The only thing I didn't like about it was that the voice actor for Tony Stark kind of sounded like Jack Black. It was weird, but I liked the show. It was good. $15 minutes left, folks. 15 minutes. And thanks again, Collected G, for the $10. 192 to go, everybody. 192 to go. Seventh, what was your favorite 90s TV horror show? Well, there weren't that many, and I'm not even sure that the ones I really liked were out in the 90s. You know, when I think horror TV show, I tend to think of three things. Tales from the Crypt, Tales from the Dark Side, and Freddy's Nightmares. My favorite of those three actually being Tales from the Dark Side. You know, Tales from the Crypt was okay, but it tended to be campier than Tales from the Dark Side. And I just liked that opening, you know. But not as brightly lit. A dark side. I loved that intro. The intro to Tales from the Dark Side used to spook me a little when I was a kid. I think my favorite episode of Tales from the Dark Side was the one with the British gentleman that he had a lady come stay at his house, and the room that he had her staying in had a tiny little had like a little door with, you opened it up and there was like little dresses and everything, and he kept telling her that it was stuff for his daughter who passed away or whatever, but it ended up that he had created some kind of a monster. And it was this little white monkey thing with sharp teeth and red eyes. That was my favorite Dark Side episode. I loved that one. Lovely tea. Oh, this. Yeah, it's The Crow done in the style of the Misfits. Thoughts on Seinfeld? Never really got super into Seinfeld. Never really got into it all that much. There was a few episodes I liked, like the Frogger episode, but and stuff like the soup Nazi and all that. There were bits of it that I liked, but it wasn't something that I had to see it every week. It wasn't must see TV for me. What were your opinion on the Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th TV shows? I liked Nightmare on Elm Street because, it didn't always have Freddy in the actual story, but it was usually related to him in some way, like it happened on Elm Street or whatnot, and he was always introing it, so you at least got to see Freddy in every episode. Friday the 13th didn't have nothing to do with Jason Voorhees at all. It was It was kind of almost an anthology show in some ways, with this main hook that a bunch of cursed items have been sold out of a antique shop, and these people were going out trying to get these cursed items back before they killed anybody. Had absolutely nothing to do with it aside from the name. They called it that just to make people watch it. If it had been called, Haunted Curios or whatnot, it wouldn't have made it past the first season. Tales from the Crumb Side. That's one regret I have on this channel, is that the 7th update never took off, because I had fun writing those. But, nobody watched them. Are you a fan of the Dan Band? Not familiar with that one. Lord 8th. I can't wait for the scene in Bambi Remake when his mom dies and they do a close-up on his face and it's just a fawn. Like no emotion because it's a literal deer. Well, it's a deer. Sorry, I injected an extra word there. Yeah, if they do it like they did The Lion King, it's gonna suck. Thoughts on the 24 show? Never got into 24. Do I remember the USA Network? Yeah, every Sunday morning I was trying to pretend to be sick so I wouldn't have to go to church, so I could watch the USA Cartoon Express. Yes, I remember USA. It's where you used to watch WWE. I don't know if that's back. I don't know where WWE broadcasts from now. I really don't. I'm that far out of it at this point. And yes, I remember the Up All Night block. I also remember USA Kung Fu Theater. And there was also a USA Horror block, but I can't remember what it was called. But the one I remember the most is the USA Cartoon Express. Every Sunday morning for like 4 hours, it was just old Warner Brothers cartoons. Not Warner Brothers, Hanna-Barbera. Like Inch Eye, Private Eye, and stuff like that. Anybody remember Inch Eye, Private Eye? Thoughts on Dead Island and Dying Light? I like Dead Island. I don't like Dying Light. Because Dead Island is funny and Dying Light is actually trying to be serious. 7th, who would win in a race, Batmobile or Kit from Knight Rider? I would think that it would be the Batmobile because in almost every iteration it's got like some kind of jet turbine engine in it. 7th, what did you like about the Bigfoot movie Exists? It was just a good found footage movie. It was way better than that one we discussed last week that Bobcat directed. It took it more seriously, I think. What are the 3 worst Simpsons game? All of them, because the only good one was the arcade game. Well, the arcade game and Simpsons Hit and Run. Those are good. The rest of them are trash. Best and worst Jackie Chan film. I think my favorite Jackie Chan film is Rumble in the Bronx. And my least favorite would... it would be that one that took place in like early 1900s America or whatever, where he comes to America and gets in a lot of trouble. It almost looked like the Old West. I can't remember the name of it, but that one was just bad. Silk stockings. Never got into silk stockings. Who buried the talent the most, Triple H or Hulk Hogan? Hogan. 7th, did you ever see the Super Mario Brothers Super Show back? I saw one episode of it, and I'm like, this was not made for a kid my age, and I never watched it again. 7th, did you like Ricky the Dragon Steamboat? Yeah, he was great. Him and Savage really tore it up at WrestleMania 3, and of course he had some real marathon matches with Ric Flair back in the day. He was really good. Thoughts on SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom? I mean, it's all right as a 3D platformer. It's okay for what it is. Do you prefer the Batmobile being realistic like in... I don't even think it was realistic in the Nolan movies, Farb. I think the only Batmobile that's been realistic was the most recent one in The Batman, because all it is a muscle car with a turbine in the back. That's the closest to a realistic car that they've done. Miss Bruce Lee question. My favorite Bruce Lee movie? Well, obviously it's Enter the Dragon. I mean, there's not that much to choose from, Tokes. Because all you've got is The Big Boss, Fists of Fury, Way of the Dragon, Enter the Dragon, and I don't even really want to count Game of Death because he's only really in it for the last 15 minutes of it. So you've only got four flicks to choose from. I'm going to go with Enter the Dragon because it's the best of the bunch. Man, you come straight out of a comic book. What was that actor's name? Was it Jim Kelly? I can't remember. Something Kelly, I think. He had that blaxploitation martial arts movie back the late 70s. I think it was after Enter the Dragon. What was it? Black Belt Jones. I think that's what it was called. Black Belt Jones. Yeah. Thoughts on Shrek? It was good for its time, but I don't think they're as rewatchable as other films of that era because all of their references are dated now. Favorite version of Ninja Turtles? The original 1990 Jim Henson movie. Missed follow-up to USA Network question. God damn it. The last thing I see you say is not a question, it's a sentence. USA Network also did a USA Kids block, but by then you were probably too old. True. That's not a question, though. That's a sentence. Favorite 90s era sci-fi film? Probably The Matrix. That's 1999. It counts. Do you have a favorite conspiracy theory? Yeah, Lee Harvey Oswald was a patsy. I mean, they have, you do know they have found actual photos shot from the other side of the street, and you can see someone leaning over the fence behind the grassy knoll like this, and there's a bright light of a muzzle flash. That exists. That photo exists. It's public record. You can go look it up. It's not some big hidden secret. Thoughts on Black Dynamite? Love the movie. Haven't really watched the cartoon. No, I'm not talking about the Last Dragon, Tokes. Last Dragon came out in 1985. We're talking about late 70s. Remember the black guy from Enter the Dragon? The one that was like, man, you come right out of a comic book. He had his own movie after Enter the Dragon. And it was called, I want to say it was called Black Belt Jones. Starring Jim Kelly, the black guy from Enter the Dragon. I'm almost positive it was called Black Belt Jones. All I know for sure is that I've watched the movie. What games do you think should launch with the next Switch system? Mario Odyssey 2. That's the only one that I would care about if I was into Switch all that much. Been playing Dead to Rights Reckoning. Fun game but short. Yeah, Dead to Rights wasn't a bad series. Christopher Lee versus Vincent Price in a fight. Christopher Lee was hardcore, man. Some of his combat stories would... He was a legit badass. Go look his life up. He could probably kill Vincent Price with a tuning fork. Have you seen the Scooby-Doo Five Nights at Freddy's fan animation? No, I haven't. Guys, we're down to like the last 2 minutes here. Who do you like better, Samuel L. Jackson or Denzel Washington? Denzel Washington. I like Samuel Jackson, but I don't think he's as good as Denzel. Most overrated Nintendo franchise. Oh, I never can remember the name of the franchise. It's the multiplayer shooter one with the little squid people shooting paint at each other. I never can remember the name of it. Overrated as hell. Thoughts on Celeste? Haven't played it that much. Are you getting Mario Wonder? I don't know. Probably 8th will probably get it at some point. Splatoon, yeah. I just don't see the appeal of Splatoon at all. You know, I tried it, hated it, never played it again. Not for me. Not for me at all. 1 minute remaining. Will Chuck Norris be considered a myth like Bruce Lee years from now? I don't think so, because Chuck Norris lived long enough to put out a lot more media than Bruce did. You know, Chuck Norris has tons of movies. Walker, Texas Ranger. Yeah, he had a lot more time to put more content out there for people to see. Anyway, it's 9 o'clock. We had $30 for the night. I appreciate each and every one of you that donated. And tomorrow I will be editing episode 1 of my next creation, and hopefully you will be able to watch it either Monday or Tuesday evening. So be looking out for that. Otherwise, come back to the 7th Cast next week and hang out with me some more.